They dragged me across the mud by my wrists. The rain hit like needles. Their rifles never wavered. I caught my father-in-law's eyes over the captain's shoulder. He didn't blink. Didn't even flinch when the enemy commander spoke. "Give us one man. The rest of you walk." Silence. Then his finger, steady, deliberate, pointed at me. "Take him. He means nothing to me. His wife will be better off a widow." I wanted to believe I'd misheard, but his stare was too calm, too deliberate. Betrayal isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a quiet signature on a death warrant. As they shoved me into the truck, I tasted copper. My own blood, or my own rage. I didn't fight. Not yet. I made a promise instead. A whisper against the rain. I will survive this. I will see my son again. And I will return for him, the man who handed me over. Captivity stripped time from me. Days folded into nights without names. Interrogations, restraints, the smell of rust and sweat. But what ate me alive wasn't the pain. It was the echo of his voice. "He means nothing to me. Better off a widow." Every hour in that concrete cell I built the architecture of my anger. He'd always despised me. His daughter's husband, the enlisted soldier, the outsider. He called me a liability at family dinners, told her she could do better. I replayed the look in his eyes when he chose me. It wasn't fear, it was calculation. He sacrificed me to preserve his own legend. So I began collecting details, like a prisoner digging with a spoon. Their routines, their guard rotations, the tone of their radios. Every scrap was a brick in the future I was building. Months later, an extraction team hit the compound at night, gunfire like thunder. I crawled out under the cover of chaos, a shadow crawling toward air. Debriefings followed, hospital beds. But no one asked the question that mattered. Why had I been the one offered? I kept my silence. I needed facts, not catharsis. I found his bank transfers first, offshore, irregular. Then a series of encrypted messages to an advisor who was actually a cartel middleman brokering safe passage. My father-in-law hadn't just sacrificed me, he'd traded me. A bargain for information, protection, and cash. I hired a private investigator under a false name. DNA tests, phone records, even surveillance of his office. Each piece confirmed the rot. Meanwhile, I played the dutiful son-in-law on the surface, quiet, recovering, grateful. Inside, my mind was a war room. Maps, timelines, scenarios. Revenge not as an outburst, but as an equation. The final proof arrived in a thin envelope, bank statements and a recorded call. His voice, clear as a confession, "Take the soldier. He's expendable. My daughter deserves a hero, not a cripple." I held the papers for a long time before moving. No tremor in my hands, just stillness. This was the moment the rage crystallized into something sharper. That night at dinner, he laughed over wine. My wife watched us both, sensing a storm but not its direction. I slid the envelope across the table. "Read it," I said. Her face drained. His went rigid. No one spoke for a full minute. Then she whispered, "Dad?" He reached for excuses. I reached for nothing. He had already confessed, even without words. All I gave him was silence. Silence and a stare colder than the room we'd first met in. I didn't threaten. I didn't yell. I simply laid out the new order of things. The properties he'd hidden overseas, already frozen. His security clearance, revoked. The board of his company, receiving the evidence by courier at dawn. "I told you once," I said softly, "I'd give you my loyalty. You traded it for your survival. Now you own what you built." His hands shook. He wasn't afraid of prison. He was afraid of becoming irrelevant. And that's what I'd engineered. Erasure. Not bullets, not blood. Just the quiet annihilation of everything he'd curated to feel untouchable. I stood. My wife couldn't look at him. She only stared at me, a silent question between us. I walked out, left the papers like ashes on the table. Now, months later, I live on the other side of the country. My son visits on weekends. We hike in silence, but it's a clean silence. My wife writes letters she never sends. Sometimes I think about the cell, the mud, the rain. But mostly, I think about the moment he pointed at me. How simple it was for him to condemn a man he called family. Revenge didn't taste like fire. It tasted like metal, cold, exact. I didn't rescue my honor with a gun. I dismantled his, piece by piece. The last thing I told him, my only real goodbye, was a whisper at the courthouse steps. I survived. Then I turned and walked away, my boots silent against the stone, leaving him in the shadow of his own ruin. I didn't need to kill him. I only needed him alive long enough to watch everything he valued burn without a single match in my hand.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.